Alright, let's talk. I always loved video games growing up. A lot of variety, a lot of things you can play. Play a little Tetris, play a little Mario, play a little Ghost and Goblins, Mega Man, all of it. And video games can kind of be whatever you want them to be. You know, what defines a video game? Is it like a loose technical definition? You know, is it just a display you can control? Are air traffic controllers playing video games? I mean, they're messing with stuff just like we are. Is Microsoft Excel a video game? Obviously, it would be stupid to debate the philosophy of video games, but it's kind of just fun to think about. Okay, so I recently found a Japanese artist named Kanoguti. Keep in mind, I'm absolutely dog at pronouncing it. From what I understand, he's kind of like a cultural love to the Japanese creepypasta community. And honestly, his video games inspired me to start this questioning of, like, what is a video game anyways? Because it seems like there's like this fine line between interactive art and gaming. You know, staring at a wall and pushing a few buttons, does it really feel like gaming? There's interpretation here. And before I start negotiating philosophy and switch into a whole conversation that will slowly devolve into, well, what even defines a chair? Let's check out some of his stuff. He has a ton of games, so I'm only going to show a few different things to kind of give you a taste in his style. First one, Coin Collector Game. You are a mix between SpongeBob and Casper the Ghost, collecting gray honey buns while avoiding chunky skulls. Every once in a while, an image flashes of what I think is just a bedroom. It shouldn't freak me out at all, but the first time playing this image mixed with cutting off audio startled me just a little bit. Speaking of audio, this music will get stuck in your head in a bad way. I'm so sorry. Next! This next game has the lovely English translation of CXGOCTKC. Calling it a game is kind of being generous, though. It's an image of a drawn face looking sad with classical music distorted in the background. This is definitely a juxtaposition to the first game, and I did this on purpose to show you what I mean when I say his games are really dancing the line when it comes to being interactive. For this next game, and honestly in general, Seizure Warning, it seriously hurts my eyes so badly just trying to record footage of this. This game is lovingly called Mommy Yummy Mommy. It is the first game on this list that you can actually beat. The premise, from what I understand, is to collect all of the photos. With each time you collect a new photo for the first time, it adds to the counter. There are 4 different ways to collect photos. You can either draw them into the center, zap them with a long tube, dodge them and go up, or click on the correct photo, I assume being one you haven't seen yet. Once you collect all of them, you get to the final boss. You have to destroy all of the photos before they hit the end of the screen. Once you do so, a win screen is shown that is pretty weird. I'm sure there's a lot of subtle meaning or so in the art in these games, but I'm kind of a huge idiot. Plus, debating the meaning of these things is so objective as arguing how you see the color green is different from someone else's green. This next one is some real shit. It's called the Underground Explorer, and from what I can tell, it seems to be the most complete and extensive game they've made. It acts like a fake internet explorer that you can kind of search through clicking on fuzzy squares. Some of the stuff's kind of wholesome, some of it's pretty weird. Overall, it does not make much sense and has a lot of subtle imagery just like the other ones. There's a lot to unpack here, so it's kind of its own separate video if I need to go more in depth, but just looking at it's kind of crazy. Alright, next one is We Are Matter. This is one of those art piece video games we love so much. It's a lot of pendulums, striking lines, and spiderweb patterns moving. It's something fun to stare at, but honestly I'm just not understanding it as much as the other pieces. A lot of the time there's imagery trying to evoke sadness or pain, but this seems to just be an arbitrary expression of matter based on the title. Okay, now we are actually getting to one that made me uncomfortable the first time I played it. It's called Why. It's a 3D first-person perspective game that involves you walking around a square box, looking at the statue of a pregnant woman. And as you move around, it starts to shift into different rooms with varying amounts of the same statue with different patterns. The music is essentially static dial-up sounds, and it's a bit eerie. Alright, now we got You Cannot Do Anything. It's like a parody of RPG games, like Earthbound or Final Fantasy, but you're unable to select any menu actions. Every time you try, the game just says, you cannot do anything. You slowly watch the girl die, and the game goes quiet with her covered in blood. I understand what was trying to be done, but it just feels super edgy. Like it feels like a 12-year-old made it. It's probably the first one that I don't love, but I get it. For the final game, it's called You Love Me. I believe that in the game, the dialogue might be Japanese characters, but because my computer does not have that, it is just absolute gibberish. To me, it kind of makes it more mysterious, so I'll pretend it's intentional. It's a picture of a disfigured girl, and then a basic happy girl, and pressing an arrow key will give a nice tune and a picture of the girl smiling. I have yet to understand anything about this, just like the other ones, but you can probably assume it's something to do with physical looks and emotional distress. Alright, so who is this guy? So, from what I can see, Kanoguti is kind of an art guy. I mean, obviously, given the games we just looked at. There's not really a ton available about this dude. They have a Twitter that is updated here and there, but there's really not much of substance besides, like, I think there's a tweet saying they have art hanging up in a subway in Japan. From their website, though, they do mention that they're born February 26, 1992, which makes him about 32 at the time of this video. Other than his age, there's discussion in the community that he suffers from schizophrenia and sleep paralysis, which influences media. I can't confirm this, so take it with a grain of salt, but it would make sense given the type of art made. So why did I make this video? Honestly, I don't know for sure. I feel like I uncovered a truly unique artist that, from what I can tell, has very little notoriety on the English side of the internet. I grew up watching spooky videos, and I was trying to get into ARGs, and being part of that generation that started watching horror game playthroughs, I feel like he's a perfect niche for someone who just wants to delve into emotionally inspired horror art that can be considered a video game. Thank you.